So why are we doing this video series about the haunted house down the street that has imagery this year evocative of lynchings and concentration camps and criminalization of mental health? There's lots of reasons, but I'll give you two tonight. One, and first and foremost, this is the learning that we need to do about how bigotry manifests in our town for today, which is that denial compounds harm. The number of people that I've seen respond with, "I don't see it, so it must be false. Like, these complaints aren't real." I mean, there's like this thing that happens when we see the clickbait headlines and the reality TV style drama, the watered down culture war narration of what's going on. Part of our brain turns into like a detective or a judge that passes down judgment about whether or not the complaint is valid. But the denial of it, the assumption that I know better than the people experiencing the pain, is part of the problem. It compounds the harm. And it also is a point of privilege too. It's not our job to be arbiters of other people's trauma. It's our job to turn off that part of our brain that is the detective and instead engage the part of our heart, soul, body, mind, spirit that has the capacity for empathy. Curiosity, to learn the histories that are different than our own, to learn the hardships that are different than our own, to learn the experiences that are different than our own, so that when we are called out ourselves for having stepped in it, right? Yesterday was all about intentionality. Sometimes you make a mistake, right? And once you learn to be able to say, "I'm sorry," because the denial compounds the harm. All right, second reason why we're doing this series is Scripture teaches us a model for how to engage in community conflict in healthy ways. So Jesus talks about, I'm sorry, I'm a minister. I have to talk a little bit about Jesus sometimes, right? So he lays out this formula where when somebody causes harm in the community, you start with the one-on-one, direct connection, communication, relationship. Give people a chance to understand what went wrong and give them the chance to make up for it. When that doesn't work, you go to the next step, which is pull in 2 to 3 community leaders or trusted individuals who might be able to translate for you, might be able to help the person understand what they did wrong. And when that doesn't work, you go to the next level, which is the whole community. You bring the whole community in on it. And you have that community-wide conversation for accountability and to rectify the harm that was done. And then Jesus says, the next step, if that doesn't work, you just start all over again from the beginning, and you keep going through, not just once, not just twice, but 7 times, 70 times, over and over and over and over again, hundreds of times, and as long as it takes until you reach understanding, till you reach healing, till you reach reconciliation, until you reach liberation. And we took that path. Sometimes when we get to this public level, people assume you didn't do that first step of individual connection, and they say, did anybody even think about going to talk to the... Yeah, so many people thought about talking directly to these homeowners. That's why we're where we are. That, uncoordinated, multiple avenues on their own accord saw how harmful this thing was and came to speak to the homeowners, knowing that in their day-to-day lives they are compassionate people, that they are thoughtful people in lots of other aspects. That knowing that they build this thing every other year before as a way to bring people together as a gift to the community, to make sure they knew that this year didn't feel like a gift. This year, even though it might not have been their intention, it was evoking harm. And I say evoking intentionally, not inflicting, evoking harm. And when that didn't work, some folks tried to pull in 2 to 3, more community leaders to help them understand, to communicate in ways that they might respond to. That didn't work, and so here we are. Because the denial compounds the harm. And because we've seen the community response. And again, so encouraged by how many of you get it and want to speak up and want to make sure that those who are impacted know that they are not alone, that we see their pain and we care for them and love them and want to rectify the situation. But there's also so many comments that are like, well, I don't see it, so it can't be true. Our hope in this series is to address those dismissive and defensive responses, to try to help people turn off that part of their brain where they think they're the experts on somebody else's trauma and engage that part of their heart that allows them to engage more empathetically, to feel the pain of others, to understand the rage of others, and to try to create a pathway towards healing. See you tomorrow.